Welcome back to the Before AGI podcast. We're diving deep today into AI and its impact on the future of humanity. Um, you've sent us some really thought-provoking articles and research. It seems like you're really interested in the real world stuff, especially for those of us who live and breathe tech.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is that we're at this point where AI isn't some far-off thing anymore. It's already all around us. Think about it. The recommendations you get on Netflix or, even the algorithms behind your social media, AI.
Exactly. And I think what our listeners are really looking for is to go beyond, those everyday examples and kind of get a handle on the bigger picture. Like, where's AI headed and what's that going to mean for us? I mean, for all of us. Like as individuals, as professionals, even as a whole society.
Oh man, that's the question, isn't it? And it's a question that even the experts are struggling with. I was reading this 2018 survey from the Pew Research Center, and they asked almost 1,000 tech experts about what they thought the impact of AI would be by 2030. And the results were all over the place.
I know, right? I was surprised by that too. 63% thought AI would make most people better off, but 37% disagreed. That's a pretty big difference, especially when you consider these are people who really know their stuff.
Exactly. And when you really dig into why they think that way, it reveals a lot about the hopes and the fears surrounding AI. The optimists, they often talk about AI's potential to solve some of humanity's biggest problems, like ending diseases and getting rid of poverty, even pushing the limits of what our brains can do.
It's like AI could unlock this whole new level of human potential. There are these economists, right? Brynjolfsson and Johnson, and they've written a ton about this. They argue that AI could lead to this crazy era of prosperity and progress that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones who think that way. A lot of experts think AI could totally revolutionize industries like healthcare and education, make them more personalized, more efficient, accessible for everyone.
Okay, so we've got all this potential for incredible good, but you said there's also a good amount of skepticism out there. What are some of the things that those 37% of experts are worried about?
One of the biggest worries is that AI could actually make existing inequalities even worse. Think about it. If all the benefits of AI, increased productivity and wealth creation, if that stuff only ends up in the hands of a few people, it could lead to a bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we're already seeing concerns about automation taking over jobs and potentially leaving some people behind, right? And if we're not careful about how we develop and use AI, those issues could become even worse.
For sure. And it's not just about the economics either. Yeah. There are worries that AI could sort of chip away at human autonomy, make us too dependent on technology. Some experts like Gorbis and Boyd, they're concerned that we might become so reliant on AI systems that we forget how to think for ourselves, how to solve problems without AI holding our hand.
It's almost like that classic sci-fi trope where humans become slaves to the machines.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's more of a subtle kind of dependence, right? We might not even realize it's happening until it's too late.
Yeah, it's like the slow slide towards becoming passive consumers. AI is making all the calls and we're just along for the ride. And that could have huge implications for our sense of purpose, and our ability to make our own choices in the world.
So wait, let me get this straight. On one hand, AI has this crazy potential to fix problems and make our lives better.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's this risk of inequality dependence, even losing what makes us human.
That's the big dilemma, isn't it? That's the heart of the AI debate. And it's something that everyone, especially us tech folks, need to be talking about. How do we use AI for good without falling into all the potential traps?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's a question that we're going to try to answer as we keep going in this deep dive. We've got a lot to unpack. So let's start by talking about one of the most talked about things with AI, its impact on the job market.
Yeah, the job market. That's where a lot of the fear and anxiety about AI really comes to head. Everyone's talking about robots stealing jobs. And while that's definitely part of it, it's not the whole story.
Right. It's not just like machines are going to suddenly replace all the humans, is it? There's more to it than that.
Way more nuanced. Research from places like Berkeley Exec Ed and Gartner, they say that up to 30% of the tasks in 60% of jobs could be automated. That's a lot, right? But just because something can be automated doesn't mean someone's losing their job.
So it's not that jobs are disappearing. It's more like they're changing.
Exactly. The World Economic Forum and McKinsey, they've said the key here is to be adaptable and to be committed to always learning new things. The skills that are hot today might be totally useless tomorrow.
So what does that mean for our listeners, a lot of whom are techies and people working in tech, how can they stay ahead of the game in this job market that's changing so fast?
Well, the number one thing is to just be aware of what's happening and be willing to adapt. I mean, AI is going to affect pretty much every industry, so it's important to figure out how it's going to shake up your specific field.
So like if you're a software developer, you might want to start learning about machine learning and AI development tools, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And if you're in marketing, you should be looking into how AI is being used for personalized customer experiences and optimizing campaigns.
So it's all about being proactive.
Yeah.
Right? Figuring out what skills are going to be in demand as AI becomes more and more part of our work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not all about tech skills either. We need more people who can bridge the gap between tech and human needs. People who get the ethical side of AI and can make sure it's being used responsibly.
So things like critical thinking, problem-solving communication, those are going to be even more important in this world where AI is everywhere.
No doubt. Those are the things that machines are going to have a hard time replicating. And those are the skills that are going to let humans thrive in a future where AI is a part of everyday life.
Speaking of AI and jobs, it makes me think about something that's really pushing the limits of what AI can do. Have you heard about AlphaFold?
Oh yeah, AlphaFold. That's that AI system from Google DeepMind that's been making a splash in science, right?
Right. It's this deep learning model that's been trained on like mountains of data about protein structures. And get this, it can now predict the 3D shape of a protein, like super accurately. That used to be so hard and take forever.
So why is that such a big deal? I remember reading about it, but I don't think I really got why it was so important.
Proteins are like the building blocks of life, right? They're involved in pretty much every biological process in our bodies.
Yeah.
And understanding their structure is like the key to unlocking all sorts of new drugs, therapies, even materials.
So you're saying AlphaFold could like revolutionize fields like medicine and material science? Totally. I mean, think about it. If we can predict how proteins fold, we can design drugs that are way more effective at targeting specific proteins. We could make new materials with crazy properties based on protein structures. It opens up a whole new world.
That's mind-blowing. It sounds like AlphaFold is a perfect example of how AI can speed up scientific discovery and innovation.
It really is. And it's just one example of how AI is being used out in the real world today. From self-driving cars to personalized medicine, AI is already changing things in a big way across tons of different industries.
It's clear that AI is becoming more and more a part of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
both professionally and personally. But like we were talking about earlier, all this rapid progress also brings up some serious ethical questions, right?
Definitely. As AI systems get more and more advanced, it's even more important to think about how they might affect society and how to make sure they're developed and used responsibly.
One thing that people bring up a lot is the potential for AI bias. We talked about it a little in the context of jobs, but it goes way beyond that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. AI algorithms are trained on data, and if that data has biases baked into it, well, the AI system is going to learn those biases too.
Yeah.
And that can lead to some really bad outcomes, especially in areas like hiring loans and even the criminal justice system.
So how do we fix that? How do we make sure AI is fair and unbiased?
Well, for starters, we have to acknowledge that bias is a possibility. We got to be really careful about the data we use to train AI systems, and we have to come up with ways to spot and fix bias.
Sounds like it's going to take a team effort, right? Like AI developers, ethicists, and policymakers all working together.
For sure, it's a tricky problem that needs everyone on board, and it's an ongoing conversation, especially as AI keeps getting more sophisticated.
Another big ethical question that comes up is data privacy. AI systems are hungry for data, right? And there's this constant struggle between using data to make AI better and protecting people's privacy.
That's a huge point. AI is becoming more and more integrated into our lives, which means it's collecting more and more data about us. And that raises concerns about how that data is being used, who has access to it, and what's stopping it from being misused.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the rules and regulations that control how it's used.
Exactly. We need clear rules and safeguards to make sure that AI is being used in a way that respects individual privacy and freedom.
It's like we're in uncharted territory, right?
Right.
We're dealing with this technology that could totally reshape society, and we're still trying to figure out the rules of the game.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why it's so important to talk about these things, to grapple with the ethical implications of AI, and work together to find solutions that benefit everyone.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the potential downsides of AI, but I think it's important to remember that AI can also do a lot of good in the world. We touched on its potential in science and medicine earlier, but there are so many other ways AI is being used to solve problems and make life better.
Oh yeah, for sure. One area where AI is really making a difference is environmental sustainability. Think about it. AI-powered systems are being used to monitor deforestation, keep tabs on wildlife populations, and even make our energy consumption more efficient.
That's amazing. So AI can be a powerful tool in the fight against climate change and protecting the planet.
It can. And that's just one example. AI is also being used to improve how we respond to disasters, to personalize education, and even to create art and music. The possibilities are endless.
It sounds like AI isn't just about automating things and making things more efficient.
Yeah.
It's also about helping us do things we couldn't do before
Yeah,
and helping us solve some of the world's toughest problems.
exactly. And that's why it's so important to approach AI with a mix of optimism and caution. We need to be excited about its potential, but we also need to be aware of the risks.
Speaking of risks, one of the most fascinating and maybe a little scary ideas in AI is the idea of superintelligence. The idea that AI could one day be smarter than humans in every way.
Superintelligence is definitely something that gets people thinking. Philosophers, scientists, science fiction writers, they've been debating it for ages.
I've seen some pretty wild predictions about when superintelligence might happen. Some people say it could be just a few decades away. Others say it's centuries off.
It's hard to say for sure. Nobody really knows. But here's the thing. If superintelligence does happen, it could change the world in ways we can't even imagine.
Okay, that is a little bit scary. I mean, what if we create a machine that's smarter than us in every way? Do we become like its pets, like Steve Wozniak joked once? Or even worse, do we risk getting wiped out, like in some sci-fi apocalypse movie?
Those are definitely possibilities, and we shouldn't take them lightly. But here's the important part. We're not helpless in this situation. We have the power and the responsibility to guide the development of AI in a way that's good for humanity.
But how do we do that? I mean,
Yeah.
AI is moving so fast it feels like we're barely keeping up.
True, but that's even more reason to focus on ethics in AI research and development. We need to be talking about AI alignment, about building safeguards into these systems, and about making sure that humans stay in control.
So it's not just about making smarter machines. It's about making machines that share our values and work towards our goals.
Exactly. And that's going to take cooperation between AI researchers, ethicists, policymakers, and people from all walks of life. We need to have these conversations now before it's too late.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I have a much better grasp on how complex AI is and what it means for humanity. But
Yeah.
you know what? I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn, and the world of AI is constantly changing.
I guess that's just how technology is always pushing the limits of what's possible.
And the limits of our understanding. But that's what makes it so exciting. Who knows what amazing breakthroughs and challenges are waiting for us in the future?
I can't wait to find out. But for now, I think it's time to shift gears a little. We've talked a lot about the big picture stuff, but I want to bring things back down to earth. We talked about how AI might affect jobs, but what about the economic impact on a global scale?
That's a crucial part of this whole AI revolution. A lot of sources, including the ones you sent us, say that AI is going to have a huge impact on the global economy. Like some estimates say AI could add something like $13 to $25 trillion to the global economy by 2030.
Well, those are some serious numbers, but how exactly is all this economic value going to be created?
Well, it's complicated, but some of the key drivers are things like increased productivity, new industries and business models, and innovations across different sectors. AI is already being used to streamline supply chains, automate tasks, create personalized customer experiences, and develop new products and services.
So it's not just about robots taking our jobs, it's about AI changing the way we work and do business at a fundamental level.
Exactly. And while there will definitely be some bumps in the road, like job losses and economic disruption, the general consensus is that AI is going to lead to economic growth and new opportunities.
That's good to hear. But what about the possibility of AI making existing inequalities worse? We talked about bias in algorithms, but couldn't AI also widen the gap between the rich and the poor?
That's a valid concern, and it's something we can't ignore. If the benefits of AI aren't shared fairly, it could lead to even greater social and economic divides.
So it's not enough to just develop AI. We have to develop it responsibly with a focus on inclusivity and making a positive impact on society.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that everyone benefits from AI, that everyone has access to AI education and training, and that we're actively working to minimize any negative consequences.
So it's a balancing act, right? We have to harness the power of AI for good, while also dealing with the potential risks and making sure it benefits all of humanity.
Exactly. And that's going to require a team effort. Governments, businesses, researchers, individuals, we all have a part to play in shaping the future of AI.
It's kind of crazy to think about how much AI could change things. We've talked about the economic side of it, the ethical stuff, even the whole superintelligence thing. But before we wrap up, I want to bring it back down to earth for a minute. How is AI already changing our everyday lives?
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in all those big futuristic ideas. But AI is already kind of sneaking into our daily routines. Like, think about those personalized recommendations you get on Spotify or how your phone seems to know what you're going to do next. That's AI.
Oh, I know, right?
Right.
It's like AI is becoming our personal assistant, making life easier and more convenient. I remember the first time my phone suggested a route I'd never even thought of, and it turned out to be like way faster. I was like, whoa.
That's a perfect example of how AI is working behind the scenes to make our lives better. And it's not just navigation either. AI is being used to personalize our shopping experiences, to filter out all that spam in our inboxes, even to translate languages in real time.
It's almost like AI is becoming a superpower that everyone has access to. And it's not just about convenience either. AI is helping doctors diagnose diseases earlier, personalizing education for students, and even creating new kinds of art and music.
Exactly. AI isn't just about making things more efficient, it's about helping us do things we couldn't do before, and helping us be more creative and innovative. And as AI keeps evolving, we can expect even more amazing applications in the future.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? What can they do to get ready for this AI-powered future?
I'd say stay curious and stay engaged. AI is a fast-moving field, so it's important to keep learning about the latest developments. There are tons of resources out there, news articles, podcasts, online courses, tutorials.
For sure. And if you want to dig into the technical side of things, you should definitely check out Ian Ochieng's
Oh,
Ochieng YouTube channel. He's got some awesome tutorials and insights on machine learning, deep learning, all that good stuff.
totally. And don't be afraid to play around with AI tools and apps yourself. The more you use AI, the better you'll understand what it can do and what it can't do.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the big questions about superintelligence to the everyday ways AI is already changing our lives. We've explored this incredible world of artificial intelligence.
It's been a great conversation, and I hope our listeners feel inspired to learn more about AI and help shape a future where it benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI, and be sure to subscribe to the Before AGI podcast for more explorations of the future of AI. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and stay curious.